Hello everyone. Our today's module is preservation of food by physical methods using low and high temperatures. The main objective of this module is to provide practical guidance for preserving various food using low and high temperatures. To slow down the spoilage process and enhance the shelf life of food products for a longer period, many preservation methods are practiced, including pasteurization, boiling, refrigeration, freezing, vacuum treatment, and addition of antimicrobial agents. At commercial level, most methods involve the removal or control of factors which affect microbial growth, such as use of low and high temperatures, moisture control, drying or dehydration, and certain chemicals as preservatives.
At operational level, food manufacturers using physical and chemical methods for controlling or killing microbial population in food product. In physical methods, mostly temperature control methods like low or high temperatures and radiations are used. In chemical methods, certain antimicrobial chemicals such as sorbate, benzoate, and nitrates are used. Physical preservation methods are mostly practiced to extend the stability of food by slowing down or suppressing the spoilage mechanism by altering relevant parameters. In food products, the activity of microorganisms are influenced by water activity, temperature, and high energy radiation. In food industries, generally microorganisms are killed by exposing them to a combination of time and high temperatures. Mild heat treatments like pasteurization can only kill vegetative forms of microorganisms, whereas killing of microbial spores, which are most resistant form, can be achieved by more destructive heat treatments including high temperature, sterilization, etc. The pasteurized food products require additional cold storage to prevent further germination of microbial spores.
Use of low temperatures processing reduces and inhibits the growth of microorganisms under refrigeration or prevent any microbial activity at deep freezing. High temperature methods such as canning, sterilization, and cooking are capable in the complete destruction of all forms of microorganisms and their toxins. To provide safe food to consumers, recently, food manufacturers are exposing certain food to ionizing radiation to minimize issues related to hygiene, reduction in microbial physiological process, control of pests, and thus increase the shelf life of fresh food within short time.
At the end, the optimum product quality can be retained by linking several preservation processes. Some most widely used low and high temperature based method for preserving various food products will be discussed in this module.
Storage at low temperatures extend the shelf life of many food. As low temperatures reduces the growth rates of microorganisms, slow down the rate of enzymatic reaction, and retard numerous physical and chemical reactions occur in food. That is why the use of low temperatures can prevent the growth of the most foodborne pathogens and spoilage causing microorganisms. Preservation methods using low temperatures includes refrigeration and freezing.
It is modern food preservation method based on the fact that dangerous foodborne illness bacteria do not grow at refrigeration temperature. Refrigeration is considered as a temporary food preservation method because it slows down the growth of microorganisms but does not stop it completely as freezing does. That is why refrigeration only keeps food for days rather than the months that freezing does.
Practically, the life of many food may be extended by storage at temperatures below 4 degrees Celsius. Refrigeration cannot improve the quality of decayed food as it can only retard microbial deterioration. Most commonly refrigerated food like fresh fruits and vegetables, eggs, fish, dairy products, meat, etc. Certain foods like banana cannot be refrigerated because it is damaged if exposed to low temperatures. There is one issue of modern mechanical refrigeration, that is dehydration of stored food because of moisture condensation, and though it has been overcome through humidity control mechanisms within the storage chamber and by selecting suitable packaging techniques.
It is one of the easiest, least time consuming and most convenient methods of food preservation. Freezing is very good at retaining the nutritional value and their natural color, texture and flavor better than when other methods of food preservation are used for fruits, meats, bread and cakes.
It is suggested that before freezing, the fresh vegetables must be blanched first to stop the enzymatic activity. For blanching, vegetables dropped into a pot of boiling water. Allow them for 1 to 2 minutes and then immediately stop the cooking process by removing them from the boiling water and dropping them into the ice water. When cooled, they are ready to put into freezer bags, pressing as much air out of the bag as possible and then into the freezer. Heat is one of the oldest methods for destroying microbial cells and their spores during food processing and preservation. Development of several high temperature based methods like boiling, roasting, baking and other heat treatments are the greatest advancement in food hygiene, because such methods can kill all the forms of microorganisms and make the food safe. The purpose of pasteurization is to increase milk safety for the consumers by destroying disease-causing pathogenic microorganisms that may be present in milk, and to increase keeping quality of milk product by destroying spoilage-causing microorganisms and inactivating their enzymes that contribute to the poor quality and shelf life of the milk. Pasteurization is a process of heat treatment of milk and other beverages that requires adequate holding time to assure the thermal destruction of pathogens and microbes accountable for food spoilage without changing in the nutritional quality of food.
Practically, pasteurization involves heating the food to a specific temperature for a definite time and subsequent rapid cooling. Usually, the temperature applied and holding time of pasteurization varies with the equipment available and type of milk or food product. For pasteurization of milk, the time temperature combination is carefully selected on the basis of thermal dead time for most resistant pathogen, that is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, that may be present in raw milk, and keeping the maximum temperature and time at which nutritional and other qualities of milk including taste and palatability are retained. At dairy industries, routinely milk is pasteurized at 62.8 degrees Celsius for at least 30 minutes or at 71.7 degrees Celsius for at least 15 seconds, or if using ultra high temperature, that is also called UHT, at 135 degrees Celsius for 1 to 2 seconds. UHT processed milk is sterilized, that means it is free from all the microorganism, and this lengthens its storage time but does affect the taste and other values. Though this method kills the pathogens or bacteria present in the raw milk and makes safe to consume without any health risk, but there are few limitations. First, due to loss of certain enzymes in food during pasteurization process, some people believe that raw milk is better option to pasteurized milk. Second, it is believed that milk pasteurized with HT-ST method may lose 1/3 of the thiamine present in the milk and half of the vitamin B12. Third, survival of heat resistant pathogen has increased the risk of the presence of bacteria even after pasteurizing the food.
Sterilization is a method of destruction of all microorganisms using temperatures above 100 degrees Celsius. For the complete sterilization of food, the time and temperatures required are much influenced by numerous factors like types of microorganisms, size of the container, acidity or pH of the food, and the method of heating. Practically, canning has no major effect on the structure of carbohydrate, protein or fat content of the food, and vitamins, especially A and D and beta carotene, which are resistant to the effects of heat, but a significant loss of nutrients, mainly heat sensitive vitamins like vitamin B1, may occur in the canning process. Likewise, the aerobic conditions of banned food have a shielding effect on the stability of vitamin C, but it is destroyed only during long heat treatment process.
Thermal death time, that is also called TDT. It is the time required to kill a specific number of microbial cells at a particular temperature. Here, the temperature is kept constant and the time required to kill all cells is calculated. Thermal death point, TDP. TDP is a temperature needed to kill a specific number of microorganisms in fixed time, that is usually 10 minutes. Here the temperature is determined.
Decimal reduction time, that is also called D value. It is the time in minutes needed to destroy 90% or 1 log of viable microorganisms studied at a certain temperature. In other words, decimal reduction time is the time in minutes during which the original number of target microorganisms are reduced by 1/10, means 90% reduction of its original number, and only 10% of the original target microorganisms remain. It is a measure of the heat resistance of microorganisms.
In this slide, a graphical illustration for calculating D value is explained at a fixed temperature, that is 75 degrees Celsius. In this illustration, you can see D value is about 11 minutes. The Z value describes the temperature change needed to reduce the D value 1 log cycle, that is to kill 90% of the population of microorganisms being studied.
In general, the D value represents the time required at a specific temperature to kill a microorganism, whereas Z value recites the resistance of microorganisms to different killing temperatures. The Z value allows for the calculation of equivalent thermal process at various temperatures.
In this slide, you can see graphical illustration for calculating Z value. Here you can see the Z value is about 20. F value. The F value is the time in minutes required to kill all the microorganisms, whether vegetative cells or spores, in a given suspension at a temperature, that is 121.1 degrees Celsius for spores and 60 degrees Celsius for vegetative cells. The complete killing of microorganisms in a suspension can be achieved by a perfect time and temperature combination. (12D) concept. Canning industries are more susceptible to the spores of the organism Clostridium botulinum than other industries. A deadly disease called botulism is caused by this organism. The spores of Clostridium botulinum can survive even after many processes for heat treatment. Modern food manufacturers are subjecting canned food to time temperature process, which could reduce the probability of the survival of spores of Clostridium botulinum by 12 logs or 12D at 250 degree Fahrenheit, or a minimum heating process that reduces the number of spores by a factor of 10 raised power minus 12. As the 12D concept is based on assumption of the number of surviving spores in one can, suppose that a container had 1 billion spores, the time for the 12D process required for reducing the number of 1 billion to in 1 may be expressed by this equation.
Ultra heat treatment UHT, that is also called ultra pasteurization. It is most widely used pasteurization process for milk in the Europe and throughout the world. It is also gaining popularity in the United States and Canada. It is a more recently developed process for sterilization of food by heating for an extremely short period, that is about 1 to 2 seconds at a temperature exceeding 135 degrees Celsius. Generally, such temperature is required to kill spores in the milk.
An application of high heat during UHT process can cause Maillard browning and change the taste and smell of dairy product, but not significantly. The most common UHT processed product is milk. However, the process is also used for cream, fruit juices, soy milk, yogurt, soups, wine and honey. When UHT process is coupled with sterile packaging, that is Tetra Pak, extend shelf life of milk from 6 to 9 months until open. At large operational scale, the UHT milk passes through heating and cooling stages in rapid succession and then is immediately put into a sterile Tetra Pak shelf-safe carton to avoid any reinfection. A schematic illustration of Tetra Pak ultra pasteurization line is presented in this slide. Most of the person believe that enzymes in raw milk aid digestion and calcium absorption, and their specific health benefits are debated within the scientific communities. It is true that UHT and HT-ST pasteurization processes reduce enzymes in the milk.
Cooking, it is a method which is usually used to improve palatability rather than to improve storage quality of food. It is also called boiling, which using heat to water until the temperature reaches about 100 degrees Celsius. Although boiling of food in water cannot destroy all microorganisms, the actively growing cells of bacteria and fungi are generally destroyed at this temperature if maintained for a sufficiently long period of time, which helps the heat to completely penetrate in the food and kill the microorganisms.
Although cooking destroys the spoilage causing microorganisms and reduces the possible risk of disease transmission, but it may damage certain food qualities such as appearance, texture, flavor, etc., and may also some important nutritional parameters like vitamins.
In most of the used heating techniques for liquids depend on heat transfer from a hot surface, and such heat may be generated directly via an electrical heating element or indirectly from hot medium such as steam. In general, these methods require a temperature gradient to transfer heat to the process liquid, and we understand that the surfaces are at higher temperature than the product.
In this slide, a schematic illustration of ohmic heating of food preservation is described.
It is one of the most extensively used method for preserving food, in which the food constituents are processed by using heat to adequate temperature and for a prescribed time to destroy microorganisms, including most resistant spores of Clostridium botulinum, and sealed in airtight container under aseptic conditions. The canning process was developed by Nicholas Appert, who is also known as father of canning. Canning offers a typical shelf life extension from 1 to 5 years. However, under certain conditions like freeze-dried foam, Certain food products like dried lentils can last as long as 30 years in an edible condition. During canning, food products are carefully packaged into tin, plastic or glass container and sealed aseptically. Subsequently exposed to defined high temperatures, usually above 100 degrees Celsius, for an adequate period and then cooled.
During heating, there is a removal of oxygen and later hermetic sealing of containers done to avoid post-process contamination, and boiling the food in a container kills all microorganisms. Sealing of the containers either before or while food is boiling restricts and prevents any microorganism from getting into containers. After adequate thermal processing, the sealed containers must be cooled immediately to a temperature of about 38 degrees Celsius to prevent unnecessary adverse effects of heat on the texture, flavor, or color of the food product. Thus, sterilized food product may be kept for a long period without any risk of spoilage by undesired microorganisms. In this slide, you can see operational steps of canning. First is sterilizing the food product to be canned, then aseptic packaging, and then hermetic sealing.
Preservation of food products by using physical methods are mostly aimed for prolonging the stability of food by slowing down or repressing the spoilage mechanisms through alteration of relevant parameters. Most of the physical methods, including low and high temperature, are promising and useful approach for preserving milk, fruit juice, and beverages under controlled conditions. The preservation of these food products based on such technique demonstrate numerous advantages, including the retention of sensorial qualities and nutritional aspects over chemical preservation method. More practically, the use of physical methods for operational preservation of milk, milk product, fruit juice, and beverages are much appreciated and would be continued for effective inhibition or destruction of microorganisms, along with the extension of their shelf life.